I'll go ahead and talk while a lot of people are still getting back to their seats. Business Oregon is pleased to be a presenting sponsor of this year's BVC, an event that I've had the pleasure of attending since 2007. Over that time, I've seen the bar raised at each event for the quality of the company presentations, the number of attendees, and the size of the prize and the due diligence process and execution of the conference by EDCO and the many, many volunteers. Business Oregon is the economic development department for the state of Oregon, and we do many things to help private companies grow and create jobs. That includes helping with exports, managing incentive programs, and a number of lending programs for all sizes of businesses, plus assisting taxing authorities, mostly cities, in developing infrastructure. Our agency also actively works to help startups, early stage companies, and small businesses. We work closely with EDCO and its peers throughout the state of Oregon, including the business development centers, as we have here in our area at COCC. Specifically, we use the Entrepreneurial Development Loan Program, or affectionately known as EDLF. It is designated for small businesses or new companies and provides up to $100,000 in short-term loans. Over years, the EDLF has helped local companies gain access to capital in the period before they become bankable or bringing in equity investors. I'd like to mention at this time a local story of a company we helped, and I think he might be here today. I saw him last night at the reception. That's Nicholas Hill from Drink Tanks. They make, Nicholas, are you here somewhere? Maybe he's coming in later today. They make a growler, and it has an accessory add to it that adds CO2 pressure, and it keeps the beer fresh for up to 7 days. And this is the town for sampling different beers. So he used Kickstarter to get that company going. And then they were ramping up quite fast, and he needed lending assistance to sustain the momentum. Our finance team, with the assistance of the Small Business Development Center, ended up putting a package together for him. It's a royalty package that we haven't used too often, but got him over that capital hump that oftentimes holds back many companies from realizing their potential growth. Since that time, Drink Tanks has expanded sales by 145%. They're doing some international selling, and they've added 9 employees to their team. It's just an example of where Business Oregon plays an important role to bridge that funding gap that faces so many young companies. Again, on behalf of Business Oregon, we are pleased to be a sponsor of the 2014 Ben Venture Conference. Now for the remaining 3 concept stage companies. Turn it back to Gator.
Thanks, Clark. Appreciate it. And we appreciate your support. So now, next up, we're doing the concept stage again. Free range equipment, Tosh Roy. Is Tosh ready? Cool.
Yeah. Sweet. All right. Cool. Hey, so my name is Tosh Roy. I was born and raised in Bend, and as owner and founder of Free Range Equipment, this place and its energy have just had a huge impact on me. Enough to say that this business was inspired by Bend. So we design and manufacture a line of sport-specific backpacks for the performance-focused athlete. They're light, durable, simple, functional, and of course, sexy as hell. Each pack is designed for a single sport or discipline, and that allows us to remove as many barriers and distractions as possible between the user and their pure and raw experience. Sports include ski mountaineering, climbing, trail running, and mountain biking. We currently have 3 products. 1 is production ready and 2 prototypes. So a lot of what's currently on the market are these general purpose packs that are kind of good at a lot of different stuff. And what we're doing is we're taking our design to a new level of focus. And the beauty of it is when a pack only has to excel at one purpose, we actually end up with a pretty simple product. And that allows us to manufacture it in the US and remain cost competitive with companies manufacturing overseas. So the packs are designed and manufactured in Bend. The intention is to keep it that way. And the sewing is currently done, we have a production facility with about 75% of the equipment we need for full efficiency. And the sewing is done in-house by myself and a small posse of skier and climber friends. So with the $10,000 grant, about 60% of that will go towards purchasing the remaining production equipment we need, and 40% will go towards hiring and training employees in manufacturing. So our sales and marketing strategy revolves around an international community of elite athletes and guides that we brought together to form a brand ambassador team. And you got to keep in mind, this is a younger crowd of just stoked on life individuals who can rep a product and make a brand cool. And already we've sold about 200 packs through this network. These are almost all word-of-mouth sales. We haven't really pushed for orders yet. And we'll use this buzz to drive traffic towards a media-intensive e-commerce website. So I'm currently working with an advisory board that includes Brian Frankel. Brian started and sold his business, which manufactured ultralight backpacking packs. He's now head of design at Giant Loop. Carl Rigney. Carl's the CFO of High Plateau Ventures. And I'm also in the first round of the Bend Outdoor Works. I think this level of support comes because it's such a Bend-based business. It creates local jobs in recreational equipment manufacturing, and it gives us the tools to explore the mountains in our own backyard. So appreciate your time, and vote for Free Range.
Thank you, Tosh. And let's start us. Scott, do you want to start us?
Yeah, Tosh, thanks a lot. I love your
Thanks.
energy. I think you basically personify Bend.
Sweet. I like to
So
hear it.
as someone who's actually sat behind a sewing machine before and being a little unusual in that, I wanted to know how you got started with sewing and took that up.
Shoot. I actually started sewing juggling balls. And sold
kind of
a couple-
Sewing what again? I'm sorry.
Sewing juggling balls.
Juggling
Juggling
balls.
balls.
Yeah. Sold them to my friends. They were a big hit. And believe it or not, maybe that was the start of Free Range Equipment.
Early entrepreneur, I love it.
Yeah.
And maybe for helping us all understand, can you talk about one or two of the sport-specific features that are in some of the packs that really make
For
them
sure.
unique for that sport?
Yeah, so I'll start with our first one. This is called the Stud. So this is designed specifically for multi-pitch rock climbing. And so we've basically pared it down as much as possible, but we still have the features that you need. And so it's durable and it works really well at what it does.
Quite like that on the market? Is that?
I mean, there are some that are trying. I think this is, like, let's say Metolius, for example, they have one that's similar. It's slightly more of a haul bag. This is more backpack than haul bag.
All right.
Yeah.
So the last time I went backpacking with my kids, we had this ruptured tapioca pudding incident, and it was kind of ranging free in the backpack. Do you have ways of dealing with tapioca pudding and things that are to be able to segregate them?
Yeah, just stick it in the lake. Clean it out.
Put it in the lake. Good. Good. John, I like that.
You got me laughing. How much your backpacks cost? If I went down to REI, where would it fit into their backpack ranges from $50 to $200?
First of all, don't go down to REI to find one. Second of all, let's see. So the Stud retails for about $100, $800, and then that's our main one in production right now. The others we haven't totally set a price on yet. I can say this is our winter alpine pack, and it'll be in the $250 range, which is both of those prices are competitive with what's out there.
And where can we find them currently, and which stores?
So right now they're in Sunnyside, Mountain Supply, and Foot Zone, and we'll have an e-commerce site up in about 2 weeks.
Wonderful. Great. Yeah, yes, please.
How does the weight compare with your competitors?
How does the weight of the backpack compare to competition?
So let's see, we're trying to bridge the gap between the ultralight market and sort of those general purpose packs out there. So it's an ultralight design with durable materials is essentially what it is. And so, yeah, I guess it's far on the lighter end. Obviously, there are some out there that are a little bit lighter, but I would argue that these are a little more durable.
Great. Other questions? Yeah, yes, please, right here. Yeah, so the question is about the market size for each of these segments. How do you size your market for these specialty sports?
Yeah.
For the packs?
I don't have a totally good answer for you yet. Our product line does cover a wide range of activities, and so I don't totally know what each market segment is, but when you include the whole product line in there, it's getting pretty big. I don't have any numerical facts
several
for you, though.
posses worth of people, probably, right?
Yeah, lots of posses, yeah.
Okay. who are stoked about being a posse for your packs.
Hey, you're
Okay,
picking
Corey,
up on the
please.
language.
I love that you're stoked about sewing and your hand sewing and getting your hands dirty, but how do you keep quality in check and scale that up to produce more? I mean, what's your plan there on manufacturing scalability?
Yeah, so that's actually our main focus right now. And so we're currently in the process of hiring and training employees. So far, we've found a couple really promising people to do that.
Do you plan to keep hand sewn as kind of one of your key differentiators, or are you looking to go beyond?
I mean, first of all, everything is hand sewn.
Okay.
There's some. I don't really want to brand it with that hand sewn label. It's not really the market we're after.
Okay.
So as you get bigger, you could outsource some of the production, you think? Or is it something that you want to produce locally?
Right.
I'd like to produce it locally. Yeah.
Okay, great. Other questions? Yeah, right here, please.
The product is unisex. Yeah.
So the question is about is it women or sex specific? It's unisex, right? Works for both?
And there are some. We have a couple different sizes in some of the models. But other than that, yeah, they're unisex.
Great. And yeah, right here, please.
So it's a
Questions about the warranty.
it's a lifetime manufacturer's guarantee. So we will guarantee it for the lifetime of the product from any manufacturer's defect, and that doesn't include user stupidity.
If you drop it off a rock cliff, that's your problem.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
still have a bunch of other questions back here, please. Yeah. So the question is, how long does it take to make a bag, to sew one, and the average cost of materials or goods sold?
So this pack right here, materials are $11.80, and right now it takes about an hour and a half to put one of these together, and there's a lot we can do. We still have a ways before we've reached our efficiency ceiling.
Sounds like there's a lot of
So
margin.
we can bring that down for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Scott?
Yeah, Tosh, I'm wondering what your vision is for the company. If you keep it, with local production and stuff, it could limit how big you could actually get. So what's the long-range vision?
I've thought about that a lot. Basically, my goal, I don't know if I want to turn it into some big monstrosity. I want it to grow as organically as possible. And I really want to make the story as cool as possible. So I guess wherever that takes me, we'll see.
Great.
Yeah. Does that answer your
Open-minded
question?
and flexible.
Yeah, I think so. You want to make, what did you say? You want to make stories as cool as possible?
I want to make the brand. I want to make the people behind it. I want to bring a community together around it, and use
Thanks.
that to
Really
drive.
create a following. Speaking of potential directions, what you don't have, and I haven't seen on the market, is a backpack that you can wear while swimming. Have you ever considered that? I mean, has anyone ever seen a backpack you can wear while swimming? Maybe it's out there, but swim trunks. Okay.
Just slip it in your pants.
You got the other 2/3 of the triathlon covered, but okay, it's in the James Bond movie. All right. Other questions, comments, suggestions?
Just
yes,
one.
in the back. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
The ideas for the trail running pack.
So it's basically a hydration pack that's, have you seen the hydration vests that are out there now? So it's sort of bridging the gap between a vest and, yeah, just a simple camelback. And it rides as high as possible so that there's as little bounce as possible and vents really well on your back.
Great.
As well as a couple,
Sarah.
yeah, pockets up on your shoulder pads for food and whatever you need.
Okay, and right here, please. What makes the materials better or more durable?
So let's see, I'll start with this material used on this pack is a 5-layer, there are 5 layers in there that are all laminated together. One of the layers is just totally waterproof. And then another layer is a material called Dacron, which is used as sort of a rip stop, to prevent rips from getting bigger. And then the face fabric is a nylon with a, durable water repellent coating on top of it. So not only is the whole thing waterproof, but it also sheds water. And this material is actually made in the U.S., I think in Connecticut or something like that. So that's sort of our, the main material we use on most of our packs.
Great. Any last burning questions? All right, let's give Tosh a big hand.
Thanks.
Great. Well done.
I'll give you a second to get your stuff off the stage here.
And we can get Tosh to talk to Rob at Cairn, and they could send out a new backpack each month with gifts in it, right? You'd be all set for your outdoor adventure.
Yeah. Next up, kid runner, Will Warney.
Good morning, my name is Will Bourne with Kid Runner, and we hope you like watching our newest video as much as we did making it. Thank you guys, good morning. I'm really excited to be here on behalf of my 3 partners, a growing circle of global elite athletes and everyday running parents who are participating in reinventing running and exploring with kids. Every year, 400,000 new and hopeful parents go into the market and spend $390 million on a kid jogger that doesn't work very well. It hasn't been fundamentally innovated since the Victorian age and is better designed for pushing groceries than running and exploring with your kids. You're forced to lean over, which increases your injuries in a sport that's already hard enough. By losing your entire upper body, you give up 30% of your performance efficiency. You can't access most of your favorite terrain, even though terrain is the fastest growing and most popular running segment, and it takes the trunk of our cars to move it around. Kid Runner has solved every one of those problems with 3 years of R&D, 2 issued patents, and 2 pending. We give your upper body back and your arms are free, eliminating injury and regaining your performance efficiency. We've designed it to be multi-terrain, and it will ultimately break down, fit in a backpack, 30 to 50% lighter than anything on the market today. This is a disruptive technology here right in the heart of Bend. And as of yesterday, we're very proud to announce we've had over 1,000 visitors to our YouTube Kid Runner TV channel to watch our sponsored local athlete, Max King, and his daughter potentially break a Guinness World Record for the fastest 10K ever with a child. We will use the $10,000 to finalize our partner sourcing selection. You got it.
Question will come up, though,
You got
won't it?
Thanks, guys.
Eric?
We're out of time. Okay. Great. Well, my first question is, how do you go off the road? How do you go on a trail with the kid without the kid getting bounced out of the jogger?
Eric, great question. Some of our favorite questions are those that center around all the technology and effort we put into solving some of those questions. So we have 3 years of R&D and 2 patents, and the patents are focused essentially on how to stabilize the rig on multi-terrain, fast-paced running, beaches, and insulate the movement of the chassis and the seat from your body so that you're moving very freely with your hands and arms free. This bow insulates all of that movement along with a patented reed, we call it, and then the seat stays very still. Hazel came out of a 10K at a 5.2 minute mile pace, and she was laughing.
Okay. Great. Thanks. Very well designed. Corey.
Well, I'm a runner. I have kids. I'm a woman. I think I'm in your target market. I own a Chariot, and I have grocery shopped, biked, skied, run with it, abused it for 7 years.
Yeah.
If I can make one purchase, what's going to convince me to buy Kid Runner the next time around?
Well, I think I would answer that with one question. How much do you like pushing your kid jogger today while you run, and how much running do you still do with it?
Far less than I used to do.
The
Goes for
average
everything.
athlete, that's right. The average athlete reduces the amount of time they run after having kids, not because of a lack of time, but because it's injury prone and incredibly unpleasant by over 50%. So we think we'll not only attract you, Corey, because it's a far better experience. This is actually running instead of pushing. Very different. But we've been admittedly very focused on solving the running problem. But our vision is much bigger than that. Our company is called Glide Machines, and this is the tip of the iceberg. By helping us, you're going to help bring a completely new, innovative space to how people convey kids behind bikes, skis, long-distance trail, beach, and other things. You might notice that the bow has been designed so that we can easily reconfigure this to a seat on a bike stand, and this will easily pull behind a bike, go to the trail with your kid, put on your harness, run the trail, run a road, come back, reattach it to your bike, and go home, including grocery shopping or anything else you want to put in it.
Yeah, John.
So just as you got cut off, so I'm throwing you a bone. How are you going to use your $10,000 if
Thanks,
you win?
John. So we're going to use our $10,000 in a couple of ways. One is we're very excited to be finalizing our materials partner selection for high-tech composite materials for the chassis and the harness. And it's great because they are here in Central Oregon. Central Oregon has a fantastic legacy of high-tech composite manufacturers, especially from aviation. And although this is a kid stroller that we're very used to not seeing innovated upon, this is very innovative. And actually this favors high-tech composites because like Lance Air, Columbia Air, and these other companies, this is a lot like a wing. It needs to flex, but it also needs to maintain a certain amount of rigidity. And so we've been very excited in some of the conversations we've had, and so we'll select our final materials for the chassis and the harness. We are at go-to-market. We are there. So in 2015, we are launching into the market, and we plan to completely transform the way people run and explore with their kids.
Now, some of the joggers that are out there fold up and collapse nicely so you can throw them in the back seat or the trunk.
Yeah.
Can you do something like that with this?
Yeah, so since day one, my wife and I have been local and avid runner. We experienced all of these problems ourselves. We had our first child, and we started running, and we were miserable. Not only because it was such an unpleasant experience and so inefficient, our back started to hurt and everything else, and we couldn't go on terrain, but just lugging the thing around took the trunk of our car. It seemed absurd for a sport that's at its heart very elegant. So what we did is we started out with a series of design criteria, and packability was one of them. This will be 50% lighter than anything else on the market today, and it's already 30% lighter, not optimized. This will be a hinge. The wheels are quick release, high performance, and the seat collapses. The whole thing fits in a backpack and will weigh less than 17 pounds. Today's strollers weigh upwards of 28 to 30 pounds before you put a 2-year-old in them, and again, take most of the trunk of your car.
Great. Jim.
Great. So just one thing you're probably aware, but Maker Mill is, I think, going to be starting here in Bend. Might be another resource for you, especially if you're going to be designing a line of products. Seems like a natural fit from that standpoint. So just kind of a reaction question. So I also, when I was a lot younger, I had those pusher things. And you're right, it's very tough on your back. But I know that like the kids were stable, right? And I noticed in the video, it seems like a fair amount of bounce in there. Is that any issue or?
Well, that's why it's all covered here, right? So the kid doesn't bounce out.
Yeah. Oh, so you know,
That's right.
Secure.
Yeah.
smash up against the. No, they wear a seatbelt, I'm sure.
You know, bounce is definitely an issue. When we started this, there was a lot more bounce. We think we're about 90% of the way to where we want to be ultimately. We see this as a long slope continuous improvement effort. This is already far better than anything else on the market. And what we find is kids derive 2 really big benefits from it that we don't really expect necessarily as parents. First of all, they're looking at you. And so they're constantly interacting with you, and the harness has been designed so you can turn around and interact with them. The other thing is kids don't seem to mind a little bit of bounce because that's what we do with small kids all the time anyway. So we stick kids in here, and again, Hazel, and not everybody's running a 5.2-minute mile like Max King down Century Drive. I mean, he was hauling. That was not a sped-up video. And she came out laughing because it's fun. You know, my wife and I just ran 12 miles with our 1-year-old. Absolutely no problem. So I think for the average runner, it's quite minimal, the bounce.
Great. Audience questions. Let's start back here, please. Yeah.
There's going to be a slight delay between because we're going to get this clicker.
And I'm sorry, it was a little hard
So
for me to
it's-
hear the question.
So it's going to cost about $1,200 retail price, and how to market to that segment at that price point?
Yeah, thank you. So we're looking at about a $1,200 retail price, and I think the mindset for this is really it's a piece of sports equipment. It's something that it offers you a tremendously broad range of experiences with your kids that you cannot get today's stroller. Today's stroller that's competitive in this space, but not nearly as good, is $850 to $900. So we plan to market it 3 ways. We already have a sponsored athlete at Max King who's a world-renowned top 10 global athlete. He's run hundreds of miles in this. He is a fantastic ambassador to a larger running community of people who are already involved in what we call our Kid Runner Athlete Circle. The other way we're doing it is through social media. Again, we've got over 1,000 visitors to Kid Runner TV on YouTube watching Max King break this world record. We plan industry events, focused and very specific retail channels to interact with runners, and again, social media.
Great. All makes sense. Yeah, right here, please. So the question's about distribution. Where are you in conversations with retailers around the country, and the margins for retailers in your pricing model?
So our first phase, we don't envision a large big box retail strategy. We envision a smaller, very focused retail, like a Foot Zone is a perfect platform for it. We've been very excited to be getting contacted by several retailers, both in the United States and Canada. Mind you, this is a 400,000 person US market, but it's an 800,000 global market, doing the same thing every year and being just as dissatisfied. So we find ourselves at first going very small retail focus, places like Foot Zone. I think for us, the cost of goods sold is what you'd expect for any manufactured product, and the associated margin is what you'd expect as well.
Okay. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Scott.
Yeah, thanks a lot. This is a really fascinating device. And I wonder, could you talk a little bit about your manufacturing strategy?
Yes, two-phase manufacturing strategy. We feel very fortunate. One of our partners, Columbia-educated industrial designer and an engineer. So we have all in-house manufacturing capacity today, up to well over 1,000 units. All of the video you saw there was our own Rhino-generated CNC routing software on our own totally vertically integrated high-tech manufacturing, which we do right now out of an Oakland studio. But all of it's quite modular, so what we'd like to do is bring this business 100% to Central Oregon. What we envision doing, the harness is made here, the chassis is made in Oakland, all of the sewing is done here. What we envision is a combination of phase one doing manufacturing where we're already doing it, but ultimately bringing that manufacturing here, converging these parts, and then shipping it out.
Great. Okay, and right here, please.
Is there any type of accessory market for that or ability to convert sales to push stroller?
Yes, so we're really
So
excited.
the question is about the accessory market for this and to be able to convert a push stroller to something like this?
Yeah, we're excited about the accessory market. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
We'll continue offline, and hopefully someday we'll see an e-stroller with a little battery pack and motor underneath there, and then Max King can really break some records.
I was wondering about a one-wheel version.
So we're going to take just a short break here while we get this part fixed. Does anybody not have their clicker before the next person comes up to present? If you don't have a clicker, raise your hand. We want to make sure everybody's one in the back here. Anybody else not have one? One up in the front. We think we've got all the techs fixed. Anybody upstairs need a polling device? Great, so we only needed to get 2 out. Super. So we are going to, up one more. No, I saw you pick up 3 earlier. That's not going to work. So I have one more in the middle there. So we are going to use the device. We think it's going to work, and we'll go forward with that in a few minutes. We have one more presenter to go. Jimmy Sabara of Volcano Veggies.
Good morning. Many of you might have heard of our company, Volcano Veggies. We have been featured in a lot of the local media outlets, as well as the national magazine, Better Homes and Garden, where we were featured as one of the freshest businesses in Bend. We are an indoor vertical aquaponic farm. Aquaponics uses fish to fertilize the plants, and the plants clean the water for the fish. We're able to grow and harvest fish and veggies all year long in any climate, anywhere. Now, growing all year long is impossible for most communities throughout the world, which leads to food having to travel very long distances to get from farm to table. In fact, the USDA states that the average head of lettuce travels over 1,200 miles to get from farm to table. This is problematic because the FDA states that produce loses over 40% of its nutrients just 4 days from being harvested, which means all that stuff we're buying in the grocery store has very little nutritional value. As such, demand for local organic produce is skyrocketing, and customers have shown they'll pay significantly more for it. Restaurants and grocery stores want to sell it, people want it, but up until now, there's been no good way to grow local produce all year long in cold climate towns like Bend. Now, indoor farms are starting to pop up, but they come with an extremely high price tag. Our system can be built for a fraction of the cost. For instance, a similar operation in Wyoming has earmarked over $3 million to produce the same yields we can produce for just $100,000. Quite frankly, we're doing it better for less. Our initial prototype module can grow up to 6 times more per square foot than traditional farming, and our system requires significantly less labor, and as such, we see significantly higher profit margins. But here's our unfair advantage. Because we've been able to drastically reduce the initial capital needed to build a module, we can see greater returns faster than the competition. Currently, we plan to scale this business by taking it to other ski towns where the growing season is extremely short. Currently, we sell direct to customers, restaurants, and grocery stores where we've had huge success. In fact, our first time at Newport Market, we sold out that day, and they tripled our order on the spot. We're currently at max capacity and have many new accounts already lined up just waiting for production to increase. So here's what we need. We need to win this $10,000 to build another module that will be twice as productive as the first and half the cost as the initial prototype. It'll get us operating in the black. We've taken this as far as we can in our own finances, now need your help to take it to the next level. We're not just another company trying to make a quick buck. Yes, we plan to be financially successful, but profits are just part of the story. See, vegetables literally saved my mom's life from cancer. So your vote for Volcano Veggies is a vote for a healthier, brighter future for our community. People want it. Nobody else can do it like we can. Please vote for us. We can't do it without you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Jim, do you want to start us off?
James, great job. So,
My wife's going to join us real quick because she's a little smarter than I am.
so I love the positioning because the whole field to plate trend, people want to know where their food is, and you're locating right in a metro area. You know, you're really cutting down on that distance between production and your ultimate consumer. So I think your positioning is great. So 2 questions. One, I'm curious about your margins associated with this. So I get it that it's less expensive to start up, but can you talk to your margins? And then also, I mean, hydroponic's been around for, 1,000 years, right? So where do you think these other people have failed, and maybe just sort of re-underline where you guys are different?
Okay, so first off, we're not hydroponics, we're aquaponics, and there's a huge difference for a lot of reasons. For the biggest one being we use fish to fertilize the plants, which provides a naturally organic fertilizer. Hydroponics generally relies on synthetic nutrients made from petroleum. So there's a huge difference there in terms of sustainability. Secondly, our profit margins are really good. We're at 85% right now, and as we grow and grow more specialty herbs, that's going to continue to grow. And in terms of what's made other people fail, I think most farmers don't approach farming as a business. You know, we've been in business for 10 years with Skyfar Studio, which is a design and marketing firm, and we are very fortunate to be around good people like Shannon's dad, who's a CPA, and just have experience running a successful business, and I think that's the main difference. I don't know why these other people have failed, but the main reason is, you know, when you have no money to begin with, you find innovative ways to make things happen, and that's big, and our biggest strength is, you know, the cost of our modules are significantly cheaper than what's out there.
And how small can one be, and how big can a unit be?
It's scalable, and that's the beauty of our system. It's modular, so you can, if you have, you know, right now our system fits in an 8-foot by 10-foot area with a 14-foot ceiling. If you have similar dimensions, that works great. If you don't, we can customize a module for that area. Our whole system, we want it to eventually be a kit where if you wanted to start something, you can tell us your dimensions of the area you're trying to grow in, and we can ship you a kit to fit that.
Okay, great. Questions? Let's start off over here, please.
So farming in general
labor-intensive is it?
is extremely labor-intensive, and any farmer will tell you that's where your profit margins shrink significantly. And because we're growing inside, our labor is significantly less. Because we're not planting in the actual ground, we're not digging, we're not weeding. Our system is extremely streamlined. That's what we took the last year and a half to do, is streamline the system, because, you know, I come from a programming background where everything needs to be, the less code you write, the better. So that's kind of been our philosophy, is the less steps you have to do to go from seed to harvest, the better. So our system right now, we spend only about 10 hours a week in the farm to produce 100 pounds of product a week. So if you talk to any other farmer, they're out there day and night, keeping the deer away, keeping the pests away. When it gets too hot, they got to put shade cloths over their stuff. When it gets too cold, they got to, you know, put it in greenhouses. It's a lot of work to be an outside farmer. We've taken that work out of farming.
Great. And there's another question right here. Yeah.
I'm assuming here that artificial light systems are part of the system. Is that part of your product, or do you have to go elsewhere?
So, unexpected benefit of being in Central Oregon is Smart Grow Technologies. They're a grow light manufacturer that if you were at the unconference yesterday, you heard Ron speak. They manufacture some of the best grow lights in the industry right now, and we've partnered with those guys to produce our lights for us, and they're extremely energy efficient. Our electricity bill is only about $400 a month, considering we're growing 1,500 plants at once. That's pretty minimal for the comfort it gives us to be able to grow consistently every day, every week, every year.
So you partner with them, and it can come bundled or
exactly,
purchased independently?
Yep.
Great. And how about in the way back here, please? Yeah.
Yeah, it really depends on the size. Right now, the module you see up there on the screen, or that was up there, was about $15,000. And it brings in about $7,000 of revenue a month. Yeah.
How many fish would that contain?
About 400. We could go higher than that, but we like to be what's called responsible fish farming. So whatever the recommended stocking limits are, we try to cut that in half because, part of the grossness of farm fishing is that people have taken advantage of that, and we want to make sure people are happy and comfortable with the fish they're eating.
Great. Corey?
So on that note, it's probably pretty clear how you can grow more vegetables, but where are you sourcing the fish from once you sell off your 400?
So we breed them, yeah. The tilapia breed like rabbits. They're crazy, Before you know it, you've got a million little guys swimming in your pond, screwing everything up. So it's not a problem. It's actually a problem that they breed too much.
All right.
So the customer would breed their own, or you would breed and provide and
That's
sell?
something that, is up in the air. The fish are a great benefit to the project, but they're not necessarily where all the profits are coming from the plants. The fish bring in significant income, but it's more so from the plants. So the fish part, if someone wanted to get into fish breeding, it's really easy, but if that's something they don't want to do, we could supply them with the fish for sure.
Great. Scott?
Yeah, thanks a lot. I want to get a little bit more clarity on the business model. It sounds like today you're selling vegetables and that you actually also want to sell systems. So can you talk about that mix and the transition?
I'm just a slave labor, so.
Yeah, I handle the business side of this. He's the farmer. All right, so our business model is to currently prove that the system that we've built can be a profitable farm model. And we're well on our way to doing that. So we want to expand our production here in Bend. We want to build another module once every 3 months until we're at capacity in our current space. And then from there, we want to take this farm model and take it to ski towns and run a farm in these different ski towns. And then during that process of expanding in Bend and expanding in other ski towns, we're going to develop a plan to produce a kit and produce components that can be put together into custom situations. And so that's something that is kind of the next step, and we haven't figured out all of the details. We don't know how much exactly a kit will cost or what it will look like. We envision building a kit that would go into grocery stores, where grocery stores can grow their food right in the store. We envision building a kit that would go into a hospital or a school, where institutions could grow food for their cafeterias right on site. So we have a lot of ideas. We're trying to stay focused and first just prove that this can be a profitable system growing indoors.
Let's see if we got some other questions right here, please.
Can you elaborate on what's the maintenance to keep this up and running?
Yeah, that's
What's the life? How long will this last?
So it's about the lifespan and the maintenance cost to keep it going.
exactly. Like I said earlier, our whole goal was to make this as maintenance-free as possible. We want to be able to have the farmer walk away at the end of the day and not freak out that something's going to happen to their crops. And our whole goal is to produce a consistent crop every day. And it's very minimal. Like I said, we're in there only 10 hours a week actually doing farm work. So, what am I doing? So it's very minimal. In terms of the lifespan of the system, I mean, it's not going to break down. It's all made from high, quality stuff. It's not, made from,
And did you want
Let
to
me piggyback on that. So another advantage of aquaponics is that the system becomes more stable over time. And because we're embracing what happens in nature, and it's a symbiotic closed-loop system, there's actually less pests, less weeds, less system maintenance, and it's a much more advantageous way to grow than hydroponics.
What kind of veggies are you really growing? And how do you keep the fish from eating the marijuana when they're in there?
we'll see what happens in November, right?
Don't have to answer that. Okay. Right back here, yes.
There's always the possibility of that, but the beautiful thing about tilapia is they're highly disease resistant because in the wild they live in really high densities. And generally poor water conditions. Our water conditions are pristine. They're not in those high densities, so you get disease in fish when you pack 1 million fish in a really small area, and that's what's happening to most tilapia farms. So if you're eating tilapia and you don't know where it's coming from, stop. It's bad stuff. But if you know where it's coming from, like us, it's good stuff. Or you can come down to the farm and judge for yourself, I guess, is the main point. We want people to be able to see their food, see how it's grown, and then they can make their own decision.
Great. And I saw a hand in the way back, please.
We will get
your
organic
veggies considered
certification.
organic?
Yeah, we will get organic certification. We haven't yet just because it's pretty pricey, to be honest. But that is the goal, and we've been working with them the whole time to make sure that everything we're doing is in line with their organic cert.
On that note also, we actually consider our veggies better than organic because We can't use any pesticides at all. Organic just means that the pesticides and herbicides used on a farm come from a natural source. We can't even use tap water or it would kill the fish. So when you buy our vegetables, you know that they are as pure as they get.
Great. All right. Need a new label. Yes, please, in the back.
You know,
Temperature
ideally,
of the room and water.
yeah, ideally 65 to 75 for the lettuce and basil, and the fish tank we keep around 70 to 75.
Great. And right here. Is it patent pending, or how can you protect?
Yeah,
the
we're
intellectual
exploring our
property?
options to patent the system. It's absolutely proprietary. It comes straight out of his mind, and we're out of time. So anyhow, we really need your votes, and thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Thanks, James
Well
and
done.
Shannon.
Good job.
Well done. Thanks.
Good job. That's great. Well, I'd like to thank Jim, John, Scott, Corey, Eric. Great job. Thanks for being our panel.